Hi, welcome to Suburbia Press. My name is William Beam. In this video, I want to give you a behind-the-scenes look at the community I'm setting up for Suburbia Press. I'm using the WordPress plugin called Fluent Community, along with a number of other plugins, most of which are from the same people who make Fluent Community. The company's called WP Managed Ninja, and another one for knowledge base and documents and so forth. So I thought I'd give you an idea of what this community is going to be about, what we're going to feature inside, and some of the tools I'm using to put it together. And for those of you that are curious, why I haven't put it up yet. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so this is what it looks like inside of my community. And you can see there are sections over here in this column on the left where it says feed. That's going to show you everything that's happening in the feed of all these different areas. So these ones highlighted over here in black, those are groups. Groups are just a way of organizing your discussion spaces. It's very important for me to have a good onboarding scenario. So that's what Get Started is all about. And later on, after you've been started and you don't want to see this stuff again, well, that's all right. You can just collapse this and you don't have to worry about seeing Get It Started at the beginning of it. You can kind of concentrate on what's left over here. But when I say start here, I wanted to do a few things in here. One of which is, I'm not sure if I really want to keep this ready to rock kind of thing. You know, I was playing around with graphics and that came to mind. But the whole idea was some kind of imagery, something like, are you ready to get going? And the first thing I'm doing is I'm encouraging people to come over here and fill out their profile. So if we take a look at the profile, you'll see there's a place for a banner where you can change your cover photo. You can remove the one that's there. You can upload a profile photo. Give a little discussion about yourself. When did you join? When were you last seen? Your social links. It'll show your recent activity. Now, some of the stuff you're probably not going to see because I'm signed in as an administrator. So when it says CRM profile, I've got Fluent CRM on here, and that's going to help with automation and things going on with Fluent Community. Because they're from the same vendor, there was already an automation building engine in Fluent CRM, so an integration made a lot of sense. You can do this with the free version. I have the pro version on here because I already had that, but you can do the automation if that's all you need. And if you're using your email on a different platform, just get the free version of Fluent CRM. And it can show you any posts that you have. So you can kind of easily follow up on something that you've put out there. And you can see that I've installed Giphy. So it's pretty easy to go ahead and put something in there, but you can do polls. And you can see what your posts are, and then any spaces that you've joined. Now, the idea with spaces is I think most of these I'm going to have as public, and all you really have to do is just go in there and click join, and you can join into them. Any that are considered private, you'll have to request to join, and then wait for someone to approve you or authorize you. That comes in handy if you want to do any paid kind of areas. So in other words, maybe you've got a discussion space for a paid course that you have. Keep in mind, you can also do courses with Fluent Community, and you want to have a discussion space for those people. Well, that's where something you want them to check to see if they are already a paid member of your course. Or you can do tiers, for example, in your community. Let's say if you've got a membership that you're doing, you might have something that a few of these areas are available for free. And then if you want access to the other ones, well, then they're paid. And if you want higher level access, maybe a VIP area, you can do that, charge even more. So you can continue your upgrade path if that's what you want to do. All right, so all of these spaces are things that I've set up. So nearly all of them, I think, are the reason why I see, access to them. Which, as long as we're looking at this, it kind of brings me to another point of what I've been working on. You'll see that I've got some very different ideas of what the thumbnail is going to look like. And I've kind of settled on something like this, where I've got, for these various groups, I've got a color theme. So if we start here, and you can see I've got like a blue background. Promotional guidelines is part of that, same blue background. And I just kind of wanted to have that where it's very easy, very clean to look at, and you can see what it is right off the bat. Whereas for say hello, I had this space, with a bear waving at you and it says say hello. Look, I love the bear, but he's got to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my spaces as an administrator. We'll find our little bear. And I'll click in here to view space. And so we've got this. And if I want to change this, I can come over here to space settings. And way down at the bottom is where the thumbnail is. So I'm sorry. Goodbye, Mr. Bear. And I've got another one. So if I say hello, I've got a thumbnail right here. I just double click that. And then this is kind of more on brand for what I want. So I'll save the changes, get rid of that. If we go back to our spaces, so we can see all of them, that's where the thumbnails show up. Now it says say hello. So the colors kind of work together and you know at a glance which ones belong to which area. So this project showcase is over here, the community and showcase. Basically, this space is an idea for people who say, hey, I've been working on something cool. Let me show you. You can bring this up over here. And that gives people a chance to discuss it, say, how did you do that, and so forth. A lot of these other ones over here, like I've got a golden retriever. I've had 4 of them, and I like the idea of the dog in the box. So that's going to change. So is all of these other things over here. They're going to change into something much like this. But let's take a look at what we've got for our group. So I've mentioned getting started. So you've got star here, say hello. If you need customer support, there's a place that you can go ahead and ask for customer support. I'm going to make this a pinned message because this is going to take you straight to our support ticketing system. I've got a page for you to enter tickets in case you need something. And this kind of gives you a little idea. It's like, I'd love to tell you it's 24/7, but it's not. It's just me, and I'll help you as best I can. Usually I can check this at least once a day. So that's something that people want to know. Is like, I've got a problem. Maybe there's an account problem. Maybe there's a technical problem. Maybe something isn't working right. There's a support ticket system. Some people may want to do promotions. Well, we've got rules about that. And I've expressed that right here so you can see what the rules are. There are ways that you can do some things. Like, for example, your profile, you can put what you want to. If you got links to offers that you want to make, other social media, if someone wants to learn more about you, you can do that. But we do not allow people to do DMs and basically to try and spam them. DMing is okay when asked. You can comment rather than create, as far as that. Be careful about links to external sites, affiliate links. No. And that's just the way it is. So when I want to explain affiliate links, when you go over to your profile as your stage, links to your offers, that means if you have a course, if you have a community, if you have something that you offer on your own site, that's perfectly fine. If you're an affiliate marketer, that's not. And I'll be blunt and honest. It says, let's keep those for me. I do have affiliate links. I will put them out here from time to time, but that is to help me with community costs. I'm not going to charge much for this site, and I want it to be self-sufficient rather than an expense. Nobody wants to get spammed either. So the idea is avoid prompting or promoting other groups and basically trying to take people who are here away from here to something else. And that's why we wanted to grow this community. Okay, so this whole area of getting started kind of shows you what the rules are, where to say hello, how to set up your profile, where to get tickets, and that's kind of the idea. As I mentioned, the community showcase, well, that's where you get to show off. Success stories, if you've done something that's really cool, you can tell people about it. That's fine too. If you need help, you want to collaborate with somebody else, there's a place to connect with folks here. And if there are WordPress updates or news, new plugin updates, and you want to discuss it, that's fine. That's what this area is for. The next spot we've got is for performance and optimization. So servers, image optimization, caching, and database optimization is what I have there. If we think of other things, we can add them to these groups. Coming back to this, I have not decided if I'm going to keep banners in here or not. There is a place for it, but also you can see that it kind of pushes the space down, and let's click on the next one. There may be times that you just want to get right to the meat of things. So I may take these banners off and leave it off. Honestly, I'm going to ask for feedback from people once they get into the site and let them tell me what they expect. Security. Well, that's a big part of my company background. So if there are threats and vulnerabilities, problems, I'm going to have a place here to discuss that. I don't know if I'm going to add another discussion group in here or not. But for right now, threats and vulnerabilities seem like a good place to start. Plugins, themes, and reviews and recommendations. There's going to be a space for all of that. So, for example, I like the Cadence theme. I like WP Rocket for Cache. If I want to talk about that and review it and recommend it to people, I find a new thing, then I might do that. If I do a new review for something on YouTube, you can bet I'm going to go ahead and put it in here as a plugin review and recommendation. Well, presuming it's a recommendation. The next, we're going to go down to hosting servers. So there are things we can talk about web servers, where things we can talk about cloud hosting, and things we can talk about server management. And each of those is a slightly different topic, so we've got a space for that. We're going to come down here to technical and maintenance. Emergency troubleshooting is kind of like, I've got a real problem, I've got a bug, and that's where hopefully people can come in here and assist you. I will try to help you if I can, but I want to get the community involved. If you've got a problem, post it here. This is where you can put your problems, and hopefully others will come along and give you an idea. Also, maintenance, I kind of brought in backups. I may put a couple of other discussion groups in here for regular maintenance that you should be doing on your WordPress site. So there's some ideas. And then e-commerce solutions. People are selling things. So what are you going to do for a shopping cart? Are you going to do ThriveCart? Are you going to do WooCommerce or something else? And payment providers. Are you going to do Stripe or Square or PayPal? And you can see that we can do polls inside of the discussion space. So I've got this set up so people can go ahead and click what they do. And over time, that'll build up and we'll get an idea what is kind of the go-to payment provider. We can do polls in other places. You'll be able to do polls as well too. All right, so we've got the feed I mentioned was kind of like everything in the discussion spaces. We talked about courses. I don't have any courses here yet. There will be courses because I've got courses that are available on my membership.io platform, formerly Searchy. I'm going to be moving those over here, so I'm working in one space. I don't want to send people to multiple spaces for my courses and community discussion. So I've decided to make the switch, and I'm hooking BunnyNet as far as my streaming platform, and I'll use that to serve the courses here. I've done some tests with that. It works fine, and quite honestly, it's a lot less expensive for me to do that than it is to keep my subscription with membership.io. Nothing wrong with membership.io. I would still recommend that for a lot of people because not everybody wants to do all the configuration and maintenance of putting together a community, but that's another thing in itself. The leaderboard is really going to give you an idea. Like this first box up here is your profile. What steps have you gone through? By default, this is what Fluent Community comes with. They have these names. I think I can change these if I had an idea of what I would change them to. So for now, I'm leaving them as to where they are, and you can just kind of see your progress as you contribute to the community and you participate and take access. The leaderboards are here for the last 7 days. This rotates. For the last 30 days, this rotates, and then all time, whoever's going to be here. If you're doing a community with leaderboards, you really do want to have something like this because all time, the people who got in here first would always be at the top of the leaderboard, and you'd never have a chance. But as people join the community a year or 2 years later, they want to have a chance to get to the top. And that way, the last 70 days, the last 30 days, is still a pretty fair playing field for that. All right, so this knowledge base is jumping off to another page, and I'm still setting this up. But basically, this is where I'm going to have docs and so forth that you can see what we've got over here. So I've got 4 documents right now under the categories performance and optimization. Choosing between Nginx and Open Lightspeed, for example, is one of the articles. And I'm just kind of putting these things in here to help people out who may not know exactly what they want to choose. Why would you choose one of these over the other? Hopefully you're not choosing Apache anymore. And I've got my preference for Open Lightspeed, but I know people who like Nginx because they're a little bit more old school and it's more kind of what they would like. Both of them are really good. So in other words, you're not going to go wrong, but some of them are going to be a little bit faster. And same thing with security. What are some common WordPress risks and vulnerabilities? And I've listed that over here. So when we get people that are going through troubleshooting steps on the community discussion, we can probably find some of these things here on the knowledge base, link them into the discussion, and that way it makes it easy. If something's been asked and answered, we can just go ahead and give them a link. And as answers come up inside of the community, I will put them here, in the categories that just kind of match up with what we have for our discussion groups. So that's something else that we can do. This part on roadmaps. This is where you can submit things that you would like to see or have happen. It will then move to under consideration. If I'm going to do it, I'll move it to planned. If I'm working on it, I'll move it to in development. And once it's completed, I'll launch it. This one will show you everything in all of these different stages. One of the things I'm thinking about is the fact that there are going to be times someone's going to make a request and I'll take it under consideration, but I might decide I'm not going to do it. Or maybe I'm planning it and I find out a reason why it doesn't work. So I may create another item over here for declined. I hate to say canceled or rejected because it's a little harsh, but basically there might be reasons why I decline it, and then I can put a note in there. If you want to submit an idea, you just click on this. And again, this is the default text that comes with this tool. This is Fluent support. So you basically give it a title, give it the details that you want, and submit your request. So that way I can hear feedback from the community of what they want to see and hear what they want to do. I might also put up a roadmap like this for the YouTube channels. Like, what videos do you want to see? What topics of discussion should I have on the YouTube channel? So I might have more than one roadmap, maybe one for the site, one for YouTube, one for articles I put on suburbiapress.com. So just a few different ideas. All right, let's get back to WordPress. You can see down here, I've got settings, and then this one will get me back to my WordPress dashboard. One of the things I wanted to do was kind of show you what the Fluent support interface looks like. Well, I can't do that directly because I can show you the back end, but if I wanted to show you what the page looks like, let me show you what happens because I am logged in as an administrator. All right, so if I come here logged in as an administrator, it's only accessible by customers. If I'm a support staff, well, I need to go back to the admin page, and then that takes me right back over here. So if we want to see what this looks like from a user, I'm going to come down here to all users. I have a plugin installed, which is called Switch To. It allows you to easily switch to another user and see what the experience looks like in front of them. It's a free plugin. It's in the WordPress repository. So let's say I switch to this contact. Okay, so I'm switched on to my ticketing system. If somebody wants to create a ticket, they can do it here. Down here, I wanted to show you, I can switch back to William Beam. So in other words, if there is a reason I need to get back to the administrator with that Switch To plugin, it'll let you switch back. A couple of things I want to show you. Down here in the bottom is this little chat bot, and it has some documents. These are the same things we looked at in the knowledge base. So you can see there are knowledge base articles right here. Another way to look at that is to create a ticket. And as you start typing things in here, it will start looking to see if there is a matching knowledge base article. So if I just type in WordPress, suggested articles, understanding server requirements for business websites, WordPress installation, WordPress risks, and see there's little bugs I still have to fix up in here. That's supposed to be WordPress risks and vulnerabilities and choosing a database server. All of these are things for what we're going to be talking about inside the community. You click on that and it just opens a new tab and takes you right to that article. So there's going to be a few different ways you can get to this. We'll be able to go directly to the knowledge base and search it if you want to, or if you're creating a ticket, it integrates with the knowledge base, which is based off of a plugin called Better Docs, and it'll show up and suggest articles to you. So you can put that in there. You can go ahead and put in your details. You can put attachments on here. If there's any related product or service, you can put in here. So you've got my old membership, and some of these things are from, that's one of my courses, and this is a free download that I provide. Then you can also change your priority, and it's just really based on what you think that it is. So that's a quick look at support tickets. The other thing that I haven't launched this yet is this is just a basic cadence page with this embedded in here. I'm probably going to dress this up a little bit, or at least make everything look like it's consistent. What am I using to power this? All right, so I've got Fluent CRM and I've got the Pro version. You can do this for the automations, you can do this with the free version. Fluent Forms Pro. Well, if I want to accept payments without using a third-party tool, then I'm going to be doing that with getting payments on a registration page. It makes it very easy to integrate with Fluent Community, Fluent Support, and Fluent CRM. So I can register you as a WordPress user. As soon as your payment is made, then you go ahead and get sent in here. We talked about Fluent boards. That's where I'm doing my roadmap. I also do some project management on this. Now, the projects that are in here, I've actually moved to a different site for clients. So some of these projects, these two in particular, are for clients that I've already migrated away. And this one is the request that we talked about. So that's the roadmap. If I want to add another roadmap, I'll use that with Fluent boards. I don't anticipate that I'll be doing regular project management on this site. So Fluent Support, we talked about that as well. Better Docs is the knowledge base. Also, I can build facts and I can build glossaries in here. We may need set up a glossary for various terms or frequently asked questions as these issues come up. And Better Links comes with Better Docs. I don't really feel like I need it, but it's there and it's required for Better Docs. So we'll come down here. Fluent Auth is a free plugin. That's what handles the authentication to get inside of the community. Of course, Fluent Community is the community and course plugin itself. I've got Updraft Plus for my backups. I'm using Cadence. Better Messages is what I'm using for a chat room. They have Fluent Chat comes with it. It's a free plugin from WP Manage Ninja. There's a little bit more that you can do with Better Messages, and it does integrate very nicely with Fluent Community. So if I click on integrations, you can see Fluent Community. I can have a private message button in the profile. If you upgrade to the paid version, you could do video calls and audio calls, but look, I'm not paying so other people can call each other. That's not something I need to do. I can enable messages. I could enable file uploading, but I'm going to be very cautious about that in private discussions. You can upload things to the spaces and the discussions we have there. And also you can enable email notifications. So if somebody gets a message, it'll email them and say, hey, you just got this message. That's something in your own profile. You can set your preferences for notifications. I'm not going to turn on push notifications. I find those a little obnoxious, but you never know. You can integrate this with, if you were using BuddyPress and BuddyBoss, which I used to use, it works there. You can integrate it with OpenAI and GamiPress and all sorts of other things. I'm keeping this pretty simple right now. And you can even set up chat rooms and AI chatbots. I'm not certain about chat rooms. Again, the community is going to help me decide what goes on, but the possibilities are there because I've got the plugin, and if I end up upgrading, maybe we can put some more features into this community. But that is really a look at what I'm doing. I want to give you one other peek at something I'm doing, and that is with OpenAI's ChatGPT. Remember I was showing you the thumbnails, and I looked and I noticed that these things were all over the place. Some of them were graphical, some of them were photos, some of them had text, some of them did not. And I thought, this is just really not a good user experience. So I went over to ChatGPT and I told him my problem. So I need to create thumbnails, and I won't read all this to you, but basically I want some consistency. I want a background color. And it laid out, here's what you can do to make some visually appealing thumbnails. It gave me dimensions, which it speculated on. Those are not the dimensions for Fluent Community. And it said, top areas, put an icon centered clearly, and then you can put in a space for the topic title so it's in a readable size. You can use a color scheme. Since I have 9 groups, I can have 9 distinct complementary background colors. And I told it that I wanted to make certain that the colors I use were different, but yet they still work together. So I've gone with pastel colors pretty much, and then that gives me enough variety. For typography, I'm probably going with Montserrat, but it's making its recommendations here. The icons I got from Canva and put that together. So I'm using kind of flat icons where I can change the color. And this is just what it's describing is the icon goes here and the title name goes here. And it said you could use Canva, Adobe Illustrator, or Figma. Well, I don't have Adobe Illustrator anymore. I don't have Figma. So Canva it was. not a big fan of Canva, but it is there, and it did have the colors. It gave me hex codes for the colors to use. And then it even gave me a visual of what it was recommending. And I thought, okay, it's not too bad. I like the little drop shadow down here. I didn't need this discussion down here with the topic title and the space, but that's AI for you. It does all this stuff. So I said, try it with a modest radial gradient in the background, and it gave me this. And I thought, well, that's not modest, and it's not at all what I had in mind. It tried again, and again, I thought, this is horrible. So after arguing with it for a while, and I said, this is really horrible. So it's, and it said, okay, the problem is DALL-E can't do what it needs to do. So it says, would you like me to guide you through creating perfectly reusable template in one of these tools instead? I said, yeah, give me the instructions for Canva. And it walked me through step by step for how to do what I needed to do. Even once I was in there and I followed these instructions, which these instructions worked perfectly, by the way, there were a couple of things that I wanted to do that weren't here. I said, how do I create a drop shadow for the element? In other words, the icon. Canva doesn't let you do a drop shadow for an element. I don't know why, but basically it gave me steps. All right, here's what you do. You're going to have to create what you want. You're going to have to download it, upload it as an image, and then you can change the opacity, and you can also blur it if it's a full imported photo image rather than an element like one of the icons. So it made a little bit of work, and so it gave me some ideas of how to do the shadow, because Canva doesn't offer any blur effects for individual elements. It took a little bit of work. I got that in there, and it gave me the instructions all the way through. And then I started asking it, said, suggest a flat icon for the say hello space. And I started doing that again, suggest an icon for customer support. It not only told me a number of things to do here, but these keywords told me things that I could go for. Now, I ended up going with headset, but when you're sitting here staring at it, thinking, all right, what am I going to do for customer support? Well, I didn't think about a headset, and I don't know what icons are available in there, but I just kept doing this over and over again for the different spaces that I have for discussion. And, for promotional guidelines, well, megaphone, which is what I chose, promotion rules, and it just gave me things all the way through. And even changing the background, I wasn't exactly sure how to do that. I was having a problem, not because of Canva in the background, but because the way I'd done the drop shadow made it difficult for me. And I just went through and I had a little chat for it, and most of it was just suggest an icon and going over and over again. Then I realized I had a problem. So I uploaded basically a photo, and what happened was I had this mint green background, and the text in here was mint green, and it wasn't that visible. I thought I need to have something bolder. I needed to have more contrast. So I asked it to generate a new table for me with the same color codes for the background and a high contrast color code that I could use for the foreground elements. And that's kind of how I got this to show up a little bit more than what it was doing before. So you can go through revisions with what you're doing with AI, and it'll just keep giving you stuff. Like for success stories, do you want a trophy? Do you want a medal or an award? All sorts of things. I just kept going down through this until I came up with something. Now, one of the groups I had was called Installation and Setup, and I thought, what discussion am I going to put there? And it gave me these recommendations. I haven't put these in yet. I'm not certain that I want that. I do want to have something for setup. 7 different groups is more than I wanted, and I'll probably find some way to bring this down to a reasonable number, 2 or 3. But the idea is fine. It's like, what are you going to do for people who are new to setting things up on their hosting server, installing WordPress for the first time, setting up an FTP client to go with their server, and installing themes and plugins? And are there any common issues that go up there? Also, multi-site. I don't really have much experience with multi-site, but it may not be a bad idea to have that in there for other people that do can discuss it. And then this bonus idea, installation, frequently asked questions. Well, I've got a place for facts in there with Better Docs, so I may come up with that. And then I was just right back to asking for more icons. And that was how I came through with getting a consistent look and feel for the thumbnails for the discussion groups. I've still got to finish putting the rest of them up, and the icons. And it just made things easier. I could sit here and very quickly and easily get all this done in just a few hours rather than going through and saying, well, this photo for caching or this photo for something else. So yeah, I'll have to say goodbye to the waving bear and the golden retriever in a box, but I think it'll be easier and more efficient for people who are trying to find the group that they want based on having consistent color-coded thumbnails. All right, so that is what I've got so far. I'm putting it together. I am still trying to go ahead and seed all of these things with maybe some starter discussions. Like for example, this one with caching. Well, this one's going to go, and I'll end up having something that's more along the lines of this kind of style. Same thing with support and assistance. For caching, I like WP Rocket. I've tried some other plugins, and we can recommend different things that may work in different styles. But also, there's more than just your front-end page caching. We can have discussions about Redis, your server and database caching that really speeds up the server side. And there are just different topics of discussion I can put out there to seed. Basically, when the first visitors get in here, I don't want them to see an empty page and they just said, well, there's nothing here, and then they think it's a waste of their time. I want to have some kind of communication started. And if you have ideas, let me know in the comments below. I would really appreciate hearing from you. All right, so that is what I have going on with my Fluent Community update. I plan on doing this, obviously, for Suburbia Press. I've also got a photography site where I've got courses. I'm going to do the same thing for the photography site community. I'm looking at offering Fluent Community as a service to people that maybe don't want to go with Facebook groups, don't want to go with school or circle or something like that. And it could be something like church communities. It could be nonprofits. It could be any business that wants one. The idea is that I can host it, I can take care of the initial setup, I can do the maintenance on it, and then they can enjoy just running and managing their community the way they want to. So that's the idea. There are business opportunities, I think, here with Fluent Community. If you're interested in Fluent Community, I'm going to have a link in the description below where you can get it. It will be an affiliate link, but here's the reason I'm going to tell you about this right now is they are still on a lifetime deal that is ending pretty soon. So in other words, if you buy it before that lifetime deal ends, you will not have to pay recurring fees every year as you typically do with most plugins. Once the lifetime deal is over, the price will be higher and it will be a recurring annual fee depending upon the number of licenses that you get. So if you're interested, jump on that right away. All right. Thanks very much. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have questions, please let me know in the discussion below. Also, if you've got suggestions for the community, let me know about that as well. Thanks so much. I'll see you again in the next video.